What up, gang? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. Kendal Briles is officially that guy. The new offensive coordinator at the University of South Carolina will be the fourth OC in 6 years for Coach Shane Beamer. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But before we do, if you're new around here, consider staying true around here. Subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel. Hit that little button down there. Boom, boom, boom. It'll help you get all my videos. Also, if you like the stuff that you see here today, hit that thumbs up over there. Boom, boom, boom. Got to get 10% likes on the videos. That's good. 10% of the views. We had 2,300 views on yesterday's video. Only about 175 likes. I'd like to get that up a little bit. It's okay. If you don't like it, you don't have to click like on it. At any rate, this news broke late last night, and I'm kind of late to the party delivering it as well. I noticed the other Gamecock YouTubers had already jumped on it last night. And y'all must have been waiting on this news to break or something. I don't know. I was asleep. I went to sleep last night at 8:30. It was a long day of tater chipping yesterday, and it's going to be a long day of tater chipping today. But, hey, that's good. It means more money in Carolina Jackpot's pocket, which I like very much. I knew this was going to happen. We've seen the flight tracker. We already talked about this yesterday. It was going to get the formalities and that done. Now the official stuff has to be done through the South Carolina Board of Trustees today, which should happen in due time, and he will be the new guy. Now, the questions are, what coaches are going to keep on staff? Guys, look, I got to level with you. You might want to keep one offensive coach around just for kind of continuity. A lot of head coaches you'll see do this. They keep a coach around for continuity. It's kind of like the go-between coach. Now, it has to be someone who offers something. Beamer did it with Torian Gray, which Torian Gray is an elite secondary coach. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He was on the Muschamp staff, kept him around. It just helps with the recruiting and, just the camaraderie with the players and that type stuff. But other than that, guys, I don't know that you keep any of this offensive staff here. Let the guy hire who he wants to. Let him have input on hiring these folks. I don't think this is probably why we haven't settled on a running backs coach yet, because I think that Beamer probably wanted to involve this guy in the hire of the OC, or, excuse me, the hire of the running backs coach. And, I mean, I don't agree. I do agree with that. Sorry, I agree with that on that front. Also, Beamer, though, needs to have a huge hand in this as well. Remember, buddy, job is on the line. This one doesn't work out, they ain't gonna be a fifth OC. I can guarantee you that. Your ass is gonna be gone. Coming over from TCU, the offense's quick tempo, does a lot of throwing. It's a branch of the air raid type stuff. It's off the Art Briles tree. Of course, this is his son. We all know this. I think it's a really good hire for South Carolina. I think it's a really good name hire for South Carolina. They did what I really wanted them to do, but I didn't think that they would be able to do, which was to get a name. They actually have someone who's an OC who has had success, who's worked under some successful coaches on some successful teams, and has a name. He has recognition. I would have liked to have gone the route of them hiring the Old Dominion OC and seen him blossom into a Power 4 level coordinator, because I think he could have done a really good job here. But we need results now. And if you're Shane Beamer, you definitely need results now, because, well, we've already talked about that. So I think that's why this hire was ultimately made. I got one nonsensical comment yesterday, which I wanted to talk to real quick on my video. Well, really, why would he leave TCU for South Carolina? South Carolina, really, can they pay him more money than TCU could? No, I don't think so. Is he going to have any more success here? No, I don't think so. Well, there's a couple of reasons why. Obviously, if you're an OC and you fancy yourself a higher level OC, the next step, obviously, is head coach. He was a coordinator in the SEC previously at Arkansas. Coordinators in the SEC, they're looked upon for head coaching jobs. And that's just a fact. They don't look first to Big 12 coordinators for those jobs. That's point one. Point two, could South Carolina pay him more, or TCU could pay him more money than South Carolina could? I mean, sure they could. But they don't have the overall budget South Carolina does. So, and again, they're going to have to cut back in some places. I was looking at some salaries just to kind of compare and contrast stuff. So Shane Beamer makes a little bit over $8 million a year. Sonny Dykes at TCU actually only makes $7.5 million a year, which was crazy to me for someone who's a coach that's competed for a national championship. But once again, Big 12. Kendal Briles' salary at TCU was $1 million a year, flat. And Mike Shula, who was just let go from South Carolina, was sitting here at $1.1 million. So they're paying him $100,000 more. This guy really has never been a college OC. He'd been a college head coach. He'd been offensive coordinator at the NFL level, but had been out of the college game for years. And South Carolina was paying him $100,000 more than TCU was paying a guy who has been in the college game for quite some time and already had a good name with good standing when he got there. So I think that comment was just a little bit stupid, just to be honest with you. About all I can offer you on that one. Sorry. Another thing I liked about this offense, the more I'm reading about and kind of diving into it a little bit, the plays that he runs should take a little bit of pressure off the offensive line. Let me rephrase that. Not necessarily take pressure off the offensive line physically, but perhaps mentally, and in terms of having to adjust all these different looks, which I think caused them some problems and confusion last year. There you go. That simplifies the system a little bit. It's a quarterback-friendly system, which should help with retaining Lenora Sellers. Hopefully we know that that the bag is going to become an issue with him, probably. However, I think the guy wants to, inherently play at South Carolina, but I think he wants to have success at South Carolina. I think he wants to stay upright while he's playing at South Carolina, and who can blame him? I think he wants to blossom, so we'll see how it all plays out. From what I understand, a decision from him is expected next week because he's got exams and school stuff that he's got to tie up. Guy actually cares about school, which is, that's a great thing, isn't it? It's also a rare thing. Is this going to change Shane Beamer's future? Again, I don't know. I think it's about as good as he could have done. Some of the drawbacks that I see here with Briles, the offenses have been the past couple years kind of stuck in the middle, maybe to the upper middle of the Big 12. They don't play a whole lot. There's a misnomer they don't play any defense out there. The defenses have actually gotten better in the Big 12 in the past, I say, 5 seasons or so. And you're looking at numbers of them, especially remember when you're looking at his 2023 numbers. Remember Oklahoma and Texas were also in the conference during that period of time. Both of them had some success during that time as well. So that could have skewed those numbers a little bit. But we're looking at anywhere from 4th to 6th, 8th in the conference in total offense. One thing I don't like, they seem to have had a problem with turnovers since he's been there, which it's not gonna work in the SEC. Playing a 9-game SEC schedule, you're not going to be able to turn the ball over. South Carolina's always been able to take advantage of turnovers, create turnovers on the defensive side of the football, which is great, but it kind of negates it when you're constantly turning the ball over on the offensive side of the football, and we haven't been great at that. And bringing in someone whose offenses haven't also been great at that kind of worries me a little bit, but I'm willing to overlook it. Maybe I'm just hopefully we're just choking it up to a talent issue. South Carolina has a little more talent to work with than what he had there. Maybe he can get those problems fixed, hopefully. And it may have had to do with something with the position coach. I don't know who all his position coaches were at TCU. I don't know any of that stuff, so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here. But I think overall it's a good hire. Now I want to get into something else. I mentioned yesterday with the whole Clayton White deal. Well, it had been reported on X by one Pete Nakos that Clayton White is actually on the hot board for coordinators for Josh Heupel to replace Tim Banks at Tennessee. Now, I said something about this yesterday, once again, just kind of spitballing things, and it looks like that's something that may be a legitimate possibility. And I knew when you're looking at SEC coordinators who have a track record, have Clayton White's defenses been great? No, they haven't been great. The defense in 2024 was great because he had talent that Shane Beamer actually kind of knocked it out of the park with from the transfer portal that he brought in that helped solidify that unit, and also was playing with a ton of guys that had been with the program for a while. Some of his other defenses haven't been great, but they've been better than what the level of the overall program was in the SEC, if that makes any sense. I think the defense played pretty well last year, considering the number of returnees they had coming back, which was not a lot. Everybody thought, South Carolina going to give up 40 points a game. Look at that. They had a couple players drafted in the NFL. And, we didn't see it happen. The regression was not that bad. The regression, in fact, was on the offensive side of the football, where we didn't think we were going to see a regression. So losing him would be a huge, to me, losing him would be about as bad as making the wrong offensive coordinator hire. So he's making $1.9 million at South Carolina too. So he's been played pretty well as a coordinator here. In fact, that's $900,000 more than what Kendal Briles was making at TCU. So we're going to have to see where that all plays out, what his salary is going to be at South Carolina. I would imagine they'll probably start Briles off somewhere about 1.5, probably about 1.5. But I think that Clayton White deserved that 1.9. Tim Banks was making 2.15 at Tennessee. So a little bit more, about $250,000 more than what Clayton White was making at South Carolina. Tim Banks probably deserved that based off of the results that they've had on the field the past couple of years. They took a huge step back this year, which is why he was ultimately let go. Now, a lot of Tennessee fans will make you the excuse that, well, we had two first-round corners that was out all year long. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You supposedly recruited at a really high level. He didn't get anybody developed up to take their place. Or whoever he did insert in their place wasn't developed, and they were horrible. You gave up, what, did they have the worst defense in the SEC? I think they probably did. One of the worst. Arkansas is always up there saying, hi, hold my beer. You can always count on them to be last in something. But they want to keep Clayton White around. They're going to have to give him a bump. They're going to have to give him a bump. And then Kendal Briles is going to get a bump as well. So guess what that means? No raises for you, Shane Beamer. No raises for you. In fact, he's making a little over $8 million a year. I know he ain't going to do it, and this is not really a huge thing in college football. I'd give up some of my salary. I'd give up $1 million or $1.5 million of that salary to make sure that my coordinators were paid. Were paid better and paid fairly, and paid enough, especially to keep Clayton White in Columbia. I know Brian Kelly gave up, what did he do? Give up $1 million of his salary last year so they could have some more NIL money. It's not unheard of. It didn't really work out for him. He still ended up getting his ass fired. But if I was Shane Beamer, the job that he's done, I think you're overpaid right now as it is, and I think you probably know that. And I think that you're kind of taking advantage of the university by keeping all that. I think you should give some of it to those coordinators. But that's just Carolina jackpot. And I would do it publicly, too. I would make it public that I was doing that. You want to talk about getting a fan base behind you? Now you're talking. Now you're cooking. Now maybe you're trying to right some of the wrongs from last year. But that's not going to happen. That's just wishful thinking. Anyway, guys, that's about all I got to say about that. I'll be talking more about Kendal Briles in the future. Be talking more about these college football, these bowl games in the future. There's some good matchups there, some intriguing ones if you look at it, despite the fact you have a lot of teams opt out of their bowl games. I really hope that this is not the beginning of the end of the bowls, because I mean, even if they expand to 16 teams, there's still going to be a lot of teams who would be sitting home in postseason if they do away with the bowls. I mean, I think that's bad for college football. It's a bad look. It's bad for the cities that are hosting them, bad for their economies for that one weekend or couple of days every year they get to host a game, and bad for the facility where they were hosting it at. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, and I think that something needs to be done here. I know that some of these conferences can fine those teams for turning those bids down, and I think some more of that kind of stuff needs to go on so we can put a stop to this. It's not good. It's not a good look for college football for teams to quit on bowls. I mean, fucking Temple opted out of a bowl game. What the hell's Temple opted out of a bowl game for? They ain't had a damn winning season since Matt Rule was there, and they've not played in their bowl game. So I have to look at that and see what the deal is. But just looking at some of these early playoff matchups, you're going to have some blowouts, but you're going to have some good matchups as well. That Miami-Texas A&M matchup's intriguing. Of course, the Alabama-Oklahoma matchup's going to get a lot of eyeballs on it. But I'm looking a little bit at this Oregon-James Madison deal. You know, they're 21.5-point favorites is Oregon. Now, I might be crazy, but and people have a sour taste in their mouth from a few years ago when Oregon played Liberty. I think it was in the Fiesta Bowl, and they absolutely blew Liberty out, and people are thinking Oregon's going to do the same thing this year. James Madison doesn't stand a chance. They're not. James Madison's not going to win that football game, but 21.5 points is a little bit, I think it's a little bit rich to me, and you see a ton of public money already creeping in on Oregon. I'm telling you, this is not the same team that Liberty was, that you beat up in the Fiesta Bowl a couple of years ago. This team is good on both sides of the ball. They're tough as nails. They're well coached, as evidenced in their head coach, Bob Chesney, is going to be off to UCLA as soon as this thing's over with. I really think they could go out there and give Oregon a game. People talk about Oregon's going to put their foot on the gas. Put what foot on what gas? When have they put the foot on the gas all damn year long? This does not look like the same Oregon team that we're used to seeing. You know, Dylan Gabriel and Bo Nix and these guys are not running around in Eugene, Oregon anymore. Right? So I might be speaking out of school, and they might go out there and win 50-7. And I might just end up with egg on my face. But I have a funny feeling that James Madison is going to hang around and make that one a little bit too close for comfort for the Oregon man. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about that, guys. I will see you all later on. Appreciate it. Peace. I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Woo!